Welcome back, YouTubers. We're going to go ahead and continue on with our elimination. This is part 2 of elimination. Now, if you'll notice on this type of problem, we have a slight problem that we didn't have before. On this one, if I was to add these two equations together, I'm going to do this lightly because I'm going to end up erasing in a second. 2x plus negative x is going to equal x. Y plus 3y is going to be 4y. And 3 plus negative 12 is going to be negative 9. But nothing eliminated like they did in the previous problem. If we look back here, we can see that the reason those eliminated was because I had a negative 5 here and a positive 5 there, and those two adding together gave me the plus 0y. Well, unfortunately, that's not going to work for us in this problem. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that, and we'll come back to it again in a second. Well, one of the things I'm allowed to do is multiply one equation by a number. As long as I multiply every single thing in the equation by the same number, I haven't really changed the equation at all. Do something on the left and do it on the right balances the entire equation. So what I want to look at is, what could I multiply this by right here, the negative 1 in front of the x, in order to get a 2? Well, you guessed it. If I multiply the entire equation times 2, that would give me a negative 2x in front. Now, I've got to write down the top equation just like it is so that I have it for future steps. Now, I'm going to go ahead and distribute the 2 just like we've done all the way through our algebra class. 2 times negative x is negative 2x. 2 times 3y is plus 6y. And 2 times negative 12 is equal to negative 24. And now you'll see that whenever I go to do my elimination step, 2x and negative 2x are going to cancel each other out, and it'll work just the same as I did before. Now, you might be noticing something. Couldn't you have done the exact same thing with this y and 3y? Well, actually, yes, you could. You could have instead multiplied the entire top equation, let me get this copied down, the entire top equation by 3. Now that would give me 3 times 2x is going to give me 6x. 3 times y is plus 3y. 3 times 3 gives me 9. Again, copy down the second equation again. And now you'll notice that because I multiplied the entire top equation by 3, again, I've got a 3 and a 3. However, I've still got a small teensy problem. Whenever I go to eliminate, it's not going to work because, well, 3y plus 3y is 6y. Now, if you remember, I made a pretty big point that these have to be opposite signs. So we have to have a positive and a negative. The way that we fix that is, instead of multiplying by a positive 3, we multiply by a negative 3. That's going to force that to be a negative 6, a negative 3y, and a negative 9. And then, once again, my elimination step would work because these two guys would eliminate out. Now, the time you're going to use that negative sign is when both of these have the exact same sign. I didn't have to do it over here because I had one positive and one negative already. Now, this is a very valid way of doing it. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use this one because that's the first one that we talked about. And now let's go back and look at our acronym we used last time. We said, Eric does super manly tricks daily. So our E stood for eliminate. Let's do our eliminate step. 2x minus 2x gives me, well, they cancel out. Y plus 6y gives me 7y equals 3 minus 24 gives me negative 21. Now, once again, my next step is going to be divide. Divide by the number in front of y, which is 7. Both sides by 7. These cancel. Gives me y equals negative 3. Go ahead and move on to step 3, which is substitute. Again, it doesn't matter which equation I use. The easier one in this case looks like the top one because I don't have a multiplication step to do there. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute in 2x plus y equals 3. Replace that y with negative 3. Now remember, that 3 right there got put in there. Now, in this case, there's nothing to multiply there. So we had to look at this m, but there's nothing to do on it, so we can just move on. T for transpose, 2x equals 3 Move this one to the other side, gives me plus 3. That one went there. Changes signs when you transpose. Go ahead and clean that up. Gives me 2x equals 6. And my last step, d divide by 2, gives me x equals 3. And once again, we write our answer as the coordinate pair 3, -3. And we are done with that problem.